like around that. Everything's in the
It still
thousands.
just feels weird.
Welcome!
No, wait, before we get started, I got something very important. I just talked to our most loyal watcher, and I'm not going to say who it was, had two pieces of feedback.
Uh-huh.
One, they said that the movies that we pick are terrible.
Yeah, we can't change
It
that.
can't be his mom.
That's good.
And
won't.
two,
Yeah.
they said I need to talk more.
I don't
Oh.
know.
Oh, you need to talk more, huh?
Yeah.
That sounds like an interesting bias.
Huh.
Who would want?
I wonder.
Who's an active watcher?
Price, it's debatable.
Are they
You're really mad at Christopher Welch.
Yeah.
If he said that to you.
I know.
Yeah,
Very
just talk,
mad.
Chris.
He said, "Speak up, buddy. You've got a beautiful voice. Use it." You know, which sounds like the Chris I know. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that most popular person or the most ongoing number one viewer? Are they in this room right now?
No.
Can you point to them? Are they?
No.
Okay. All right. So.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Oh, let Bryce have it.
I already yelled. Yeah, you're right.
Welcome!
I like the little break.
I got a little voice break.
Ah!
To the F and Movie Podcast. We are your hosts, Nathan, Mason, Dylan, and Price, in that order. But you'll notice I skipped over someone who is very important.
Who?
They are taller than all of us. They are more important than all of
Yeah.
us.
That one is
And
true.
that is Jill. And
Hi.
she got one of our movie slices on the wheel, as
Really
you saw
randomly.
Yeah.
you saw from last week, and she picked the movie.
Scream.
Ah!
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Just Scream 1,
Scream 1.
not the whole anthology of Scream.
That's why
I mean,
Dylan
if
only
that was
screamed
an
once.
option.
It's a pretty short movie, you know. It kind
It
of
is.
just opens up, immediately goes into it, and then you're done. It's
Yeah.
right?
Movies.
It's just like
It's
that,
a
that
short
little,
film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a-
Nathan just stopped watching after that.
I mean,
I get it.
that was like
Yeah.
that was it, right? That's
8
what-
minutes of just pure like running around the house.
It's just some high intensity, quick little short film.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I can see where
It's
you
a
know
Quibi
Scary
type
Movie
movie, yeah.
got some of its inspiration
Just a
from, I
little.
guess.
So tell us about Scream, Jill.
Scream is a horror movie from 1996. It is a slasher that came out when slashers were dying,
Mhm.
and it brought back the genre, essentially, in a very meta, look at the genre kind of way.
Yeah.
They want you to know it.
Yeah.
You,
So
you say that it was a dying genre.
It was. I mean, if the height was the 80s,
Mhm.
it was dying by the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
yeah, if
I
we're
did not
looking at
realize that.
Halloweens and things like that being on the decline by 90s.
I mean, I guess you
Well,
can-
there was just an overabundance of Halloween.
You can,
Yeah.
you can say it wasn't dying so much as belittled.
Okay.
Like, people didn't take it seriously.
Right.
Because the ones that I remember from like the early 2000s, mid 2000s were like, you know, When a Stranger Calls, like, oh gosh, I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of movies
Yeah.
like that.
I know what
Well,
you did
some of
last
those
summer
were
was
I
always
mean, all those
so-
movies that came out after Scream.
right
Yes.
after the resurgence of Scream.
Yeah.
bringing it
Because
back
of
in.
Scream.
There's one I saw in
So-
theaters called, I think it's called Cry Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I figured out the ending before it got there, and
Uh-huh.
the girl I was with
I was
at
about
the
to say, you
time
were on a
was
date with
frustrated
this.
that I whispered what I thought the ending was. I was right.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Mhm. Nathan,
Well, I don't-
ruiner of dates.
Like, if you're
It's
wrong...
like, oh, I think I figured it. I think it's her.
Yeah.
The thing
And
is,
it's
if,
like, why'd
people,
you-
if you're wrong, people don't care. If you're right, they're mad at you.
They're
Yeah.
So
very
just
upset.
don't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Ah. It was a movie. I had nothing better to do.
It's not like it was a great movie.
Yeah.
What's the movie actually about?
Cry Wolf.
Scream?
No.
No, Scream.
I haven't
See what you
seen
guys did
Cry
there.
Wolf.
I got the historical background, but what's the movie?
Yeah.
What's the movie Scream about?
Yeah. What's the plot?
Yeah.
Well, there's a final girl who gets attacked a lot, and then they unmask the killer at the end.
Yeah. You got it.
Yep.
So.
Sounds like Scooby-Doo to me.
Hey,
I mean-
it's funny you should say that.
Yeah. Well.
Because we got Shaggy in there.
We got Lillard himself right in there with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he may or may not be an important character in this whole movie.
Man,
He's also
he
very
is-
unhappy with his performance in this movie.
Oh,
I know.
he's awful.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
He
it.
was my favorite.
It's he's so absurd.
Oh yeah, the whole time he always had his long tongue out, just going like.
Yeah.
Somehow I knew he was going to be a character you enjoyed in this. Like, rewatching this, I was like, Price is going to really enjoy this guy for reasons I won't
I
understand.
love Shaggy and his movie friend
Yeah.
or whatever that like worked at the movie store.
Mm.
Yep.
They were so fun.
They are so on the nose in the movie store, like itself. But we're like leaping ahead because we really have to talk about the opening scene with
Mhm.
Drew Barrymore. That's
Love the intro.
yes,
It's even better for knowing or not knowing that the movie was marketed with Drew Barrymore as
Yes.
the lead.
This was Zendaya
Oh.
Dune
So-
1 back
so
in the day.
people
you know?
didn't
Cool.
Mm.
I didn't know that.
and then she gets killed in the first like 8
Like
minutes.
if you
or
look at the
something.
movie poster, she's the biggest person on it.
Yeah.
Well, and plus you think that is the movie, like there for a minute. You know, we were joking about it
That's
earlier.
what I was thinking too. I was like, this
Yeah.
movie just like starts like at the climax, and I'm like, all right, like
Yeah.
I feel like this is gonna be a short movie, but all right.
We were like, we're gonna do some Quentin
Like,
Tarantino
I felt like it was
retelling
just
the
gonna be
story.
like kill after kill after kill. It's like you have the family coming in. It's like they're gonna die.
The mom's
Yeah.
definitely dead.
I don't know
next,
where
yeah.
we're going after that, but
Yeah.
they're gonna die, and
Right.
the next person's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the intro of this film does such a good job of capturing and really setting the tone of this film in a way that's like very important. Like on rewatch again, for me it's this like it's so tongue in cheek on the like teen slasher, we're in on it, but like we're still playing it very strong. Like the entire time it's like the door's unlocked and then it's just like the door testing and stuff like that. I always come back to the idea, and probably why Mason we talk about When a Stranger Calls, or whenever When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
That sounds weird. The Strangers, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh,
No,
The Strangers.
The
yeah.
Strangers.
Mhm.
Yeah. Whenever I think about things that are particularly scary and relatable, it's the things that you could fall yourself into.
Yeah.
Did I lock the door?
People could show up to your front door, and that's when you're in the.
Yes.
I've always locked the door.
I always lock
Yes,
the
you
door.
do,
Yeah.
Nathan. Yes, you do.
To a detriment. In between certain hours and things like that. No, but
Guaranteed.
it's the boy do we know. It's the common things that really grounded in it. And it's just like, okay, now what's the common thing went like to the most drastic extreme, and that's just the intro. And we get Drew Barrymore being so over the top, but I just love it. The cheese behind it is so good. It's cheese on nachos good. I don't know. Maybe that's my experience. What everybody else's thoughts.
There's not many moments in this movie where it's not cheese on nachos. Like it is.
Yeah.
It is heavily poured cheesy throughout this
I'm
entire
happy with
movie
it though.
for the most part.
Yeah.
I think some scenes earn it a little bit more,
That's
but
fair.
it's
Mhm.
it's a little overly done. But like Jill was saying earlier, you know, it's
Well, I mean, the killer's trying to be a movie killer.
Yeah.
So
The movie
It's gonna
store
be
one
over the
sticks
top.
out as like, okay, that's a soggy nacho for me. Like too much cheese.
well.
Yep.
Talking about outplaying their parts, you know, we were talking about Matthew Lillard. What about the freaking boyfriend Billy? Like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, that's the
Billy
worst
is just the-
casted person
I actually
ever.
would really like to know, since you two haven't seen it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I've seen
Yeah,
it.
Nathan
yes,
and
I have
Bryce.
not.
Yeah.
I've known the ending for so long. I'm like, watching the movie, it's very clear what's going on.
Obvious.
Was it clear to you two?
No.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it was clear, and it was something where it was just very obvious. Like, there's got to be two people. Like that's what makes everything work. Is there's just got to be two people working
Oh.
together.
Price, you're on the other end of it.
Well, when I'm watching a movie, I'm not trying to like in mysteries, like even in like Knives Out or Glass Onion, just like any kind of mystery kind of movie. I'm not trying to put the pieces together before the movie gets there. I'm just enjoying the movie for what it is, not thinking about like, oh, who's done it, that kind of
Like
thing.
in Clue, like you don't have it all like trying to, you know, put
Yeah.
that plot up in your head. Yeah,
Because I
me
just
too.
don't care. I just want to be on the ride that the movie gives
Yeah.
me to that point. And
Mhm.
that's why I never really thought about it. I mean, Kelly asked me halfway through. She was like, "Who do you think is?" I was like, "I don't know. Maybe Dewey. I don't know. He seems
Yeah.
like too
The
much of
fucking idiot.
he seems like
Yeah.
too much of an idiot."
Yeah.
So I was like, I just like half-heartedly was like Dewey, I
Mhm.
guess. But yeah, I didn't think it was too obvious.
Okay, because like watching it back, just how over the top Billy is. Like,
Oh,
was
yeah.
it too much?
Billy also just looks like a killer.
He
You
does.
But
know?
you say that the whole time.
So he has this.
That's why he's like
he has-
slumped over,
Yeah.
and like
In
that,
the
like greasy.
Like
Killer
2
energy.
minutes of his introduction, he's just like this lurky, like rapey vibe guy's like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to take this movie to rate it
Oh
R.
yeah, whenever he does the Clarissa explains it all and pops up
Yes.
at the window and they have that whole little scene, I remember thinking like, yeah, I know he's the killer,
I'm
but
gonna take this
man,
relationship from a rated R to an NC-17.
yeah,
And like, I swear, I think I like got goosebumps and not in a good way. From that. Like, I hate it.
Like
Red
the
line.
cringe.
Yeah.
Yes.
When the cringe is too
Yeah.
strong.
Yes.
yeah.
Something that was really that I was apparent to me the whole time is I think this movie's trying to both be like kind of scary and comedic at the same time.
Mm.
And for me, it did not ride that line well at all.
Tag me in.
Okay.
Well, whenever you're done.
Okay, I'm not done yet.
Baton pass.
But like the whole time, like the intro I think does a really good job of illustrating my point, where it is like cheesy, where it's like that's not a horror movie, and it's like, but I'm gonna kill you. So like it goes back and forth and swings in a very good way. and like it's teetering that line to me the whole time. And then once the killer actually comes out and is like wearing that mask, wearing that outfit, like unfortunately I've seen it parodied too many times. I'm not already taking them too seriously, but then it's all the hijinks that happen whenever the killer is actually there trying to kill people. Like he goes around the bed and she just jumps over the bed, and then she's able to get away.
It's like you could hear the Scooby-Doo like
Yeah.
noises going.
And I was like, I can't, like, he's not menacing in any way. Like, when he's on screen, I don't feel
Like, you could take
scared. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Oh,
I
yeah.
could,
Oh,
like,
yeah, I mean that's the thing is, this guy doesn't kill
No.
half the people.
Alright, so-
Tagged in.
that he managed to.
So Price mentioned comedy and horror. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about this today. We have had movies like this where we've mentioned Jennifer's Body, Cabin in the Woods. We've
Thanksgiving?
mentioned.
That's just comedy.
bring it back.
But for those two examples by themselves, we were all kind of like split because like Cabin in the Woods, we all agreed was a fantastic like horror, but also very like
Yeah.
not satirical, but like
No, it's
comedy.
satirical. Comedy satirical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that movie flowed very well because I think it was a good blend of both.
Yep.
Whereas this one doesn't do that at all, in my opinion. It's almost too meta. It's almost too this. We almost give it too much of an excuse because it's too cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Not so cheesy, right?
Yeah.
For me, that was my main gripe of it. Is it wasn't horror, basically at all.
No.
I mean,
Yeah, I was never scared.
It's objectively
it had,
thriller
like,
more
It had
than
like
anything.
gory moments, I guess, but it's that horror.
Yeah, it
Right.
wasn't thriller either. That was my issues. Like like you said, did you
Yeah.
jump a single time when it happened?
Jump scares, but those are cheap.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there was any of
Yeah,
those.
I don't feel like it.
When Billy comes through the window, like at the beginning to see
Mm.
whatever, like it like jumps to him and he's like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Like, whoa.
Same way Scream is a horror movie. It's not. I mean, it has honestly pretty good gore for a movie.
Yeah.
But
Blood was
it's
on
not
there, yeah.
jump scares. One of my favorite scary aspects of the movie is before you see the killer, is that tension leading up to, is he going to show up here? Because you know he's going to be in the scene.
Yeah.
Like the music is like, where is he going to pop
And
up?
they'll be
Right.
slowly walking around the room, and you're just scanning the screen, right?
Yeah.
Because like you're just waiting for him. Yeah.
But there. I mean, even that in itself, there's a moment of like breaking the the narrative a little bit, where it's like, this man's really hiding in a closet, right? Like for atmosphere.
For 9 minutes.
Yeah.
While this person is like picking up the phone,
Secretly
and
making
walking
phone
around.
calls with a cell phone this big,
Yeah.
because it was back
Yeah.
in the day. So, no, yeah, there's
And
a
I
couple.
don't think Nokia's had vibrate like quietly either. Like,
No.
if they were on vibrate and like no noise, it went. Like.
Yeah.
But Jill, like, there is some tension on like where he's gonna come out,
Mhm.
like because when he's gonna be there. But they just undercut that so many times, and the best example I have of that is when they're getting to the big party at the end, and it's broad daylight, and like I forgot what happened, but it pans over to like the
Oh,
forest,
That
and
is
it's
what-
just like the guy just in the forest, just like
That is a scene I
And then just
entirely
walks
forgot
over.
about until last night when I watched it again. I was like, oh, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
like, it's just like it's so goofy.
It always, that scene for whatever reason always reminds me of the one scene in V for Vendetta where they're doing the like big British bit where they're like making fun of the news person or the president, right, or the governor, whatever, the authoritarian leader, and then he thinks he kills V, and then in the end you see him like, and it had that same exact like in the forest to me, that I'm just like, this is a comedy at a little bit at its like in its elements, so I think it's just there for that. One of the killing scenes in specific that really sticks out to me that I think is worth like talking about both being good and bad at it is the garage kill
Yes.
scene with Rose
Yes.
McGowan. Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
I simultaneously like it and
dumb.
frustrated
Don't
by
think
it.
about
so
it.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, every part of that is like, this cannot happen.
It's like
The
that
garage
garage-
doors barely can
Bridge.
pull themselves.
And
Yeah.
also,
Exactly.
also if you ever turn one on and it rises up, its default is to go up.
Yeah.
Its default is not to close.
No.
So she did it the first time and it got halfway, then it like closed.
Yeah.
That's not normal. If something gets in the way of the sensor, it's not going to crush the thing that's in the way of the sensor. It's going to go
No.
straight up.
No, it's
Which
all
is
I
strange.
think that was supposed to be him pushing the button.
Yeah.
But the first
Make
time
it go
she
back
did
down.
it did it, and then it went. Maybe it was. I don't know.
There's
That was my stupid gripe. That's like counting the bullets in a gun kind of thing. Like I'm like, no,
yeah.
you are not allowed to do that.
Yeah. But it's fun.
It is.
It's so
It's
fun.
fun.
It was
Like,
my favorite kill.
It is.
I was
It's
like,
my
man, this is so
favorite.
stupid, but I'm here for it.
I like the newscaster one when he was like, "There's a 30-second delay."
Oh yeah.
Like that was.
Yeah, that one I
was
think
just
is
like,
underrated good though.
Sure, it's fine and all, but like
So,
realistically,
like,
if you
how-
have a delay,
Why
you
did
should
he
not be
forget?
looking at the screen.
Yeah.
That's true.
Why, like, how did he forget that?
Right.
Or how did the killer like kill that? Like, well, he didn't even kill that guy.
Yeah.
But then get out the door and sprint to the
30
newscaster in
seconds.
30
That's a lot.
seconds.
That's quick.
I don't know. 30 seconds, I think, is a
That's pretty
30
quick.
seconds
It's longer,
is
longer than you
enough
think.
Time,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know exact
'Cause they can
positioning,
see
but I
the
feel like
door.
It wasn't a brisk
Yeah.
stride, you know. Once he figured out there's a camera and he remembered that there's the truck out there, like he probably
You had to have
I mean, he didn't
torpedoed
have
that.
to have seen the camera. If he just walked outside because he heard something, he would see the news van.
I mean, he's been in
and
the
two
forest
people in
watching
there.
this all play out.
And
so-
then, God,
He's been
this
in the forest.
and it's so funny whenever Gail, Courtney Cox, who we haven't talked about yet,
Can't
when
wait.
she gets in the car to get away and it's like blood all over it,
Yeah.
and then she like reverses and then it hits the brakes and his body
She's
just
like-
falls on the
So they
windshield.
put his body up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
She didn't see it up there.
I-
You would think.
Or the massive blood pile whenever
Right.
she ran up to the van to begin with.
It's the theatrics of like what's going on after the deaths that are just so fun, right? Which I think why these two stick out, the garage one and this one, because
Yeah.
first of all, like the Rose McGowan like dead body whatever thing
Just
does
been
they
hanging there for like 35 minutes.
for like so long, but also
And no one
but
saw it.
it is so flimsily bad up when it is up there,
Yes.
like
Her
yeah.
head basically looked like a watermelon.
Yeah.
It could look like a person. Like
Right.
it looked so goofy.
It's so bad.
Okay, so let's get the host back on track. We need to start like more like towards like the movie because
Yes.
we're talking like the last like 15 minutes and there is a
Yeah.
whole hour and a half section.
I mean, there's
that
a
we
whole
haven't gone
section
over.
where they're like very framed in on people's faces with them talking a
Yeah.
lot.
I thought so
which-
too.
Like that to me is like I have seen like I guess gifs of that or something at some point because I was like this seems so familiar, but I don't think I've seen this movie.
Now Courtney Cox,
But all this
give
like
her all
tight
those.
framing with them talking back and forth and being high schoolers was very weird.
Yeah, speaking of them being high schoolers,
No.
question. I got the question here.
Uh.
What's more believable, the high schoolers in this movie or the high schoolers in Never
Shut
Back
the fuck
Down?
up. I knew that was coming.
Because I'm going with Never Back Down.
Never Back
Thank
Down.
you.
These are
Yeah.
grown ass adults in this movie.
Yeah,
they
the high
range from like 22 to 26.
The high schoolers look
Yeah.
no younger at all than the newscasters and any other
Yeah.
adults in there. Like
Yeah.
all the other adults are. It's like you're in your 20s or being played at 14 to 16 or whatever, or you're in your 50s. Like there's no middle ground for adults like us in between.
You think that like all of the cast members, they all like just were in a big pool and they were like, all right, you know what, we're gonna do the picking for the casting.
Yeah.
And, like Courtney Cox got the news anchor just barely though, like she was gonna be in the high school
Yeah.
like spot.
She would have been more believable than the main chick.
Here's my hot
Who
take.
couldn't have her mouth shut the whole dang movie,
Neve
just like
Campbell?
that.
Neve
Just like
Campbell?
that one kid. I forgot what movie we watched with the kid who had his mouth
Oh,
open.
that
the
was
whole
Freaks
time.
and Geeks.
Freaks and
Yeah,
Geeks.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah,
what
but
it
she
was.
has, I mean, she's pretty.
She's
Yeah.
pretty,
Kinda
but
her
like
thing.
her
Yeah.
mouth was never shut. I'm sorry.
So
Not something I noticed at all.
Once you notice
the
it, you
garage
can't
door
unsee
not
it.
going up. Oh.
my hot take on this one, which may not even be too much of a hot take, depends on which crowd you're asking. I think this is Courtney Cox's definitive role more than Monica at this point.
What?
No.
No,
absolutely
totally
not.
hot take.
Absolutely
Totally
not.
hot take.
There's an
Listen.
argument for it.
Generationally speaking, yeah, you guys of
I've
the French
always known
generation.
her as Gail
listen.
Withers or whatever.
Yeah.
her name
10
is.
years of Friends versus
How many years of
30
Scream?
years of Scream.
Yeah, you know this better than all of us. How many
it's
more years?
6 movies.
Yeah,
Versus
spanning
10
over the period of
And
30
she
something.
plays the same person.
Definitely
I mean,
Friends.
anything.
You all are nuts.
There's an argument.
There's an
for
argument
it.
for it. I'm gonna ask some Zoomers and get even hotter takes on this one. They're gonna be like,
Anyone not
I've
over the
never
age of like
watched
30.
Friends.
yeah.
I haven't
Right.
either, but if I saw Courtney Cox on the street, I'd be like, "You're from Friends."
I wouldn't.
You
probably
wouldn't-
even-
Probably.
That's fair. No, but regardless if it's like most of her definitive role, this is this is her best role, I think. Like more than Monica.
She was really good.
She's so good in this. She's so good at being
She-
the eccentric bitch about this.
She
and
was
like,
also probably like the best
yeah.
there.
The actress.
Yeah,
the
like
actor.
she's the one actor really acting in this whole like
Yeah.
thing with it.
Fun fact, she had to fight for this role because they
Yeah.
thought she'd been in Friends for 2 years.
Yes.
And they thought she couldn't be bitchy enough.
Yeah.
So she nearly didn't get it.
Hmm.
There was my favorite line from the movie was they're like she's with her reporter or whatever, and something's happening and he's being really slow and she goes, "Jesus, come on, bring the camera," and he
"My
just goes,
name's not Jesus."
"My name's not Jesus." I don't know. That just killed me.
Camera guy underrated in general.
Camera guy was Bryce's favorite character.
Yeah.
Camera guy was hilarious. He was sitting there eating Cheetos while watching the TV.
People getting murdered. He's just hungry in the
Well, I
van.
think you only saw one person getting
Nah,
murdered,
he only
right?
had one. Yeah.
So
Does
what
it
did,
still
what
count?
what did everybody think about the like hour, like I would say lull basically between the intro and the last party, because it's basically just like it's
it,
like
it does kind of lull.
Yeah.
It's like
I
gas.
was surprised how long this movie was, given
it's almost
the,
2 hours.
The
Yeah.
pace that it opens with and closes with.
Yeah,
It gives us, well, there's a couple bumps, right? Like, when we're talking about, it's the scene where, Neve, I forget her.
Nev.
Who?
Nev Campbell.
Yeah, thank you.
Sidney Prescott.
Oh,
Cindy, thank you. But there's something about her being in the house when it's the secondary call, and it's the first time he calls her, and it kind of gets that, like, whole stirring. Like, there's little bumps here and there. But yeah,
She has encounters, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the middle ground. Then it's like, yeah, they're in like they go to a grocery store for a little bit. That feels weird. And then you're
the
like,
beginning of the show was unexpected too.
yeah, like,
But really, the movie is the beginning and the ending.
yeah,
You kind of
like-
forget about the middle stuff.
yeah. The middle stuff really does. And there's like the whole parts in the middle where the principal gets murdered, and you're kind of like, it's weird that he gets murdered.
Henry
The
Winkler?
principal
Yeah.
also
Okay.
gets like a little scene where he gets to be genuinely like mad at people.
Yes.
And like have really a good commentary on like you shouldn't be doing things like this.
Mhm.
You have people that have died around you, like actually being real in a setting where nobody else is being real.
I love that the movie was so rejected of it. It was
Yeah.
like, no, we're gonna go keep doing what we're doing because
we're gonna kill him twice as fast.
yeah, you want to talk about like real meta commentary? It's like the ones when we were in COVID and we were like, surely people will treat this responsibly and great, and then they didn't. So it does. I appreciate those characters who are so completely the straight man in an otherwise like
yeah,
otherwise
he was one of the few characters where I was like, that's
yeah.
like I'm glad there's somebody to be.
Somebody
this
needs to be
character.
it. What are we doing?
Yeah. It's like, why are you guys being like this?
Right.
This is disgusting behavior.
Yeah.
It is, but there 100% would have been someone dressed up in like that
Yes.
very easy to obtain
For
costume.
sure.
Yeah.
Should there be? No. Would there have been? Absolutely.
And all the jokes that they were making after Drew Barrymore died, you
Live
know, like
her alone.
yeah, leave her
Yes.
alone.
Okay, that part I
Tell
knew
me
we were going to be
Shaggy's
on the
not
same
the best
page about when
character in
they're at
this
the
movie.
when
That
they're
was
at the
so-
fountain and they're
so
just
funny.
when they're just so extra about like the death jokes. And I'm like,
Being
that's
so terrible about a classmate.
yeah. And it's like so fucked up, but it's also just the they commit so hard to the humor of it that
Yeah.
it does land for me that I'm just like, God, this
Yeah.
is a drenched, like, not crunchy nacho at all, but I'm here for flavor, you know, like
This thing is soppy.
Yeah.
And just all kinds of bad
bottom of the
adjectives.
nachos where it's like soaked up from start to bottom.
You don't
Yeah.
even know there's a chip in there. It's so soggy.
Yeah. Maybe it's all just cheese. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, but a large part in the middle is like the pacing suffers. I mean, for sure. This is a movie with two peaks like on
But
the
that's where it's like, I think that's part of the meta part that it gets an excuse for,
Mhm.
or at least Jill would probably agree that like that it's excused because of it. Where it's just like, man, like much like Jennifer's Body, I was trying to sign up for this or that, not a blend of both that's kind of like falling over itself a little bit more.
But them singing to Jennifer before they killed her is like a top 3.
Oh, that's the thing.
Like,
And that movie had its positives, just like this one does.
yeah.
I think Jennifer's Body does a good job of more establishing its feet in the like horror camp.
Mm.
It
Like,
does a
it-
better job
it-
in the horror side.
Yeah.
I think it like plants its feet more firmly on that side.
But the argument that you brought to it was trying to be like a
Mhm.
play on the horror genre
Mm-hmm.
and, bring itself to light a little bit more, much like this one does.
Mhm.
This one just does it way more aggressively. Way more aggressively.
I
So
agree with that.
by the time we get to the end, then we're seeing Matthew Lillard and I keep
Billy.
Billy, yeah. I keep thinking Luther because he has that same like slick back hair
Yeah.
from Always
I was
Sunny. in
gonna
the
say, he's a good villain.
Yeah, like Billy's. I actually think Billy's really good. Like it's just the problem is that he's too good, so there's no mystery
I
to
don't
it.
think
He-
anybody is friends with him in real life.
No,
like that's my
never.
issue. He's a great villain, but he needs to have only enemies
Yeah,
everywhere.
and Matthew Lillard is just so in it for the memes, like,
Yeah.
is.
which is kind of just funny in
He's
itself.
waving a gun around.
Yeah, the idea that they like would stab each other in the first place is so like it's how we'll get out of it.
You stabbed me too many
Bitch,
times.
I'm getting woozy here, and him
When they
drooling.
stab each other, they would do it before they've offed the other two people.
Yeah, like, but the
Yeah.
fact that they do it before instead of after everything's complete is just the funniest fucking thing to me. Like,
Giving them the edge.
yeah. On rewatch again, I just remember thinking like, it's so unnecessary. They're so efficiently killing the stupidest people in town, and
And
they.
the only one that they have fucked up
Yes.
killing multiple times,
Is Sydney.
they're not going to.
And then they're
off
both gonna
before
half-ass
her.
it because they're
Yeah.
both there, and they also just have her. Like, she's just
Yeah,
dead.
Dead
Like,
to rights.
She's so dead at this point, but
And she just disappeared.
yeah. And then they're like, "Where'd she go?"
We got a problem.
Yeah. I love it. I love how stupid campy the end of that is. The whole little like resolution. of it.
Yeah, when she calls Stu on the line or
Yeah.
Oh my
whatever.
God.
And he's like, my parents are going to be so mad at me. He's dying.
Yeah, dying and he's literally murdered people. Yeah, it's the bigger implication of like, man, in world this is even funnier the more you think about it. Like,
And then the movie worker or whatever, like they were standing over Billy's body. He's like, in every horror movie, this is the part where the villain comes back to life.
yeah,
And Billy just comes out, ah!
Yeah.
Just
Blast him,
shoot
yeah.
him in the head.
this movie's good. Like,
Yeah,
this movie has some good moments at
it has
worst.
moments, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more.
There's more.
Like
to
I
the
have
movie.
zero desire to watch any of the other
So
ones.
that's a good
such a
transition.
shame.
Yeah.
Okay,
None.
so this movie is why Fast and Furious also works and Saw also works, because you do have people like Jill that want to
Yeah.
just proceed through the franchise.
No, that's unfair. The last
It is
two that
not
come
unfair.
Out, last two that come out are just actually fantastic movies that you
Yeah.
should
Well,
not
what
watch.
about the first
Fantastic.
four?
Yeah.
I adore the third movie.
Okay.
It's so much more kooky than this one is. It's
Are we
very-
talking like Jurassic Park 3 levels of kooky?
Yes.
Like Velociraptor Alan?
Like-
Alan.
the killer in that one is absurd. The reason he's the killer is absurd.
Yeah.
Everything that happened, the kills are very absurd. I'll spoil one of them.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I didn't even know there was a Scream 3.
Yeah.
I thought they just jumped from 2 to 4. I had no idea.
Yeah,
so
but
they
four
get
is
more and more
bad.
outlandish. The whole thing of Scream 3 is they've come out with these movie series based off the original
Right,
Scream
yeah.
movie, and they're in Hollywood basically, and now there's a new killer who's taking down the production.
Mm.
And that's the whole thing. So you got all the actors in a house hanging out together, and the killer calls, and they're like scrambling around the house trying to figure it out. They all go outside to the pool, and then the killer says, "Go read the facts I just sent in the house." So they do,
Yeah.
and they go in and read it, but the lights are out, so they pull out a lighter and light it, and the fax just says, "I cut the gas line" or something, and the house explodes. It is so absurd, but
I'm
it's
mad
so
at it.
funny.
I'm into it.
Like it's.
That actually might be the selling point for Price. Actually, it's like maybe
Just so dumb.
they
Like if they just
if they commit to,
that
but you
sounds
love
like a
that. Yeah. You
Thanksgiving
love the
level
dumbest of
bad.
Oh yeah, the dumber and the more they lean into that, the more I enjoy
Yeah.
it. But just the fact that like this one does such a good job of introducing it as like a serious horror movie, like that's scary, like where Drew Barrymore is like, help me.
Yeah.
Which is also super dumb. Let's talk about that for a second. The intro when Drew Barrymore's parents are like right there and like she has her
Literally.
throat cut,
Yeah.
and instead of throwing the phone or like making some kind of noise,
Stomping.
she's like,
She's just not the smartest girl.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
She's already
know,
been stabbed a bunch.
If,
Yeah.
if your throat's been cut, you're probably not immediately like. She only had a few seconds.
Yeah,
Like
best,
your first
right.
instinct would probably be to try
Make
and
some
say
noise.
something.
Also,
No.
let's say that they did hear her.
I'd beat
the
Well,
fuck
you
are they
would
gonna
assume
do?
that you had a voice.
Are they gonna track down this killer? Are they gonna chase him down on foot? He's probably got what, like 30 years on him?
Oh,
He's-
probably at least.
He's
Yeah.
he's very
He's
and he's
killing
very
them.
quick. He's moving in this
He is
movie.
killing them, is what I'm getting at. So it's like, even if
Yeah, either of the killers are
They're not
well
saving
practicing
her.
cardio. I think is a fair statement to make based on this movie.
yeah,
and just their speed. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
I think if the parents were just eating a banana, threw a banana peel out, I could see this killer just hit and go, whoa!
And in 3, it does happen. But
Probably.
yeah, and then there was the Renaissance with 4, 5, and 6 before I thought was.
I
Kind
wouldn't
of,
include 4 in that.
Well,
I love
but 4 is
4.
when like the new
4 is
generation of
yes.
movies
good.
start.
Well, 4 is weird because it came out in the middle. So like there was the original 3, and then 4 came out 10 years later, and then 10 years after that, the last 2 came out.
Yeah, like it feels like it's
Emma
the Rocky
Roberts just has
series,
that
and then you
kind of
had Rocky,
impression.
and then you had Creed. Like,
So you have like the original 3, which are a take on that era of horror.
yeah,
And then 4 was look at like Saw and that kind of horror. And then
psychological.
the last 2 are all about like elevated horror and requels and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Something at the tail end of the discussion I wanted to bring up is that the soundtrack to this movie, terrible. Every song that they picked, absolutely terrible. Did not match. Just was very distracting. But the score, on the other hand, oh my god! I don't know if you all paid attention to that at all, but like
Well,
the score that's going on went so much harder than this movie.
Score.
I
Well,
don't know why. It was
Whenever
so
it would
good.
like build up to some of those moments that Jill was talking about, like where's the killer, where is he? I know he's gonna pop up. Like the score during that time was actually kind of good.
You're right.
Like it helped the tension start to build a little bit because they would start to amp up just a little bit at a time.
Scores are great whenever they get to be the straight man in this, like,
Mhm.
right? Because they get to just be all in on a
oh yeah, I can determine the tone.
Exactly. So when I think you guys are right. It's like when the movie wants to be its thriller horror self. The score is really like punching on the pay grade with it. I do remember on the rewatch the couple songs that did stick out. I start to hear it. I'm like, this feels very like they just picked a song at the time,
Yeah.
and then that'll do. Yeah. No, yeah, fair complaints on that one. But other thoughts before Fat Thin Perfectly Fit?
No, I just want to get some validation that it's okay that I like Saw. Because, you know, this is a...
Saw is not my cup of tea.
I've never
If Jill
seen
can
Saw.
like this
Nah.
series, I can like Saw.
You can like Saw.
Alright.
It's like in the later movies, it's like a guilty pleasure, but I think the first couple
100%
I think, really
guilty
stick with
pleasure.
it.
That's what I would consider this type of franchise.
Yeah.
Any of them, really. But,
Have you seen every Saw movie?
yeah.
Even
So it's okay that I like every.
No, it's totally fine.
yeah,
I think liking Saw is better than liking Never Back Down, personally.
that's a hard take.
You want to create another argument?
Yeah.
What about The Punisher?
It's great.
my
We don't
God.
talk about the second
Yeah,
one.
OG Punisher.
OG
Yeah.
Punisher.
OG.
Right? Yeah. There's not a sequel.
No.
If
Or
it
it'll
doesn't have
never
Thomas
happen.
Jane or John Bernthal on it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Like that's just it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Fat Thin Perfectly Fit. Shape of the movie. Price.
It's definitely fat. We kind of glossed over the fact that like the middle hour, almost hour and a half section is very, very dry and is just setting up plot. I don't want plot for this movie. I don't like any of these characters. There's some good lines. There's some good comedic lines throughout that time, but not enough to justify like we'll say an hour 15 of my time of just waiting for the last party to happen. Like Dylan said, he said it perfectly. Where there's a peak. Then there's a huge valley. Then there's another peak, and then the movie ends. And that valley is very deep and needs to be trimmed up a lot.
I don't know. Rose McGowan is somewhere in the middle, and that's where all of her fun moments are. So I wouldn't cut everything from
Who?
there. She's
Is
the
she in
garage
American
girl.
Pie?
Oh, Garage Girl?
Yeah.
she went to school with like a belly shirt with like her tits out and everything. Like,
Yeah.
what school is it okay to
Have you
do
ever seen
that?
Clueless? Like Clueless
Yeah,
had the
Clueless.
exact same like dress code. As
Yeah,
this
but it's a
movie.
Hollywood movie, and Hollywood movies are always realistically set in California style schools. And
With 30-year-olds going to high school?
yeah, and that is
Well,
They get
factually
held
accurate.
back.
They
yeah.
get held back.
Hey, man.
I got held back. That's fair.
Yeah.
They checked out.
Yeah. No, so the middle part has like some little dumb, charming teen drama parts that I like for that reason, but will admit that it's like definitely extra in this film. Like, you go and you order stuff, and when you go to a Mexican, you'll appreciate this one. You go to a Mexican restaurant, and you're like, hey, I want like a quesadilla or a burrito, and then they give you the little side salad, like a little like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
the little
garnishes.
lettuce.
Yeah, a little bit of lettuce, and I'm just immediately like, take that here, because I'm just trying to eat my burrito in peace.
Smothered in sour cream.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll send this back, please.
Yeah, hard pass. I'm just trying to eat a queso burrito, guys, and that was a little side garnish salad. I didn't
Wait,
care
a
for.
queso burrito? Is
Yeah.
that just...
Yeah, you
Cheese
put
and
queso over the
tortilla.
burrito.
Oh,
What are you
I-
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
like queso in the burrito,
No.
close it up and eat it?
No.
Over top.
Over the top.
Oh, okay.
Over the
I
top.
thought you meant like...
Smothered.
I
Yeah.
want a
Yeah.
wrap with cheese
Yeah, the
inside.
Yeah. Although this movie is a good apt description for the level of cheese that would involve, though. So,
Double
Jill.
smother.
Yeah. Smothered, not filled, to be clear.
Jill.
Jill,
Oh,
shape of the movie.
I suppose it's fat. I don't really feel it that much, but yeah, I don't really care about the middle of it.
So for you, maybe it's a little bit more chubby.
Just a little bit.
Not totally fat,
Just a
but
little bit.
yeah, it's got some edges. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the middle is like Price was saying. It's literally just to get you to be like, is that guy the killer? Is that girl the killer? I don't know. Like, they're giving you the random backstories of some of these characters that, like, well, that's the best friend, so I don't know that she's going to be the one that's, going to be the one to do it, but yeah, it's totally fat. Nathan was playing God of War during this movie, and I don't
cannot
think...
blame the movie for Nathan's choices.
No, I don't blame
No.
Nathan a bit
He was
for
gonna
playing
do.
the
He
game.
would do that for great movies. Let's
Yeah,
start
he would.
there.
The only thing you're gonna miss in the middle chunk of this movie is some one-liners and some like David Arquette being over the top stupid. The
Dewey's
deputy in
Dewey's
town,
excellent.
I love Dewey.
He's in the house.
and he's still in them in the fourth one. And he's still the
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
He's like moved up to sheriff though.
Yeah. Well, in that town, you can only move up.
There's also that line where his sister and him are arguing at the police station, and she said something like, "The janitor is your superior."
Well, and he shows up to the party at the end,
Yeah.
and she's
he
like,
grabs that guy's beer and
Yeah.
she's like, you're under,
yeah, you're good. And then he tells the girl, he's like, she's with me.
Yeah.
Like the derpiest, like Courtney Cox's character, she's here with me.
With, like one of the most beautiful women
Yeah.
ever. It's like, yeah, I'm here with Dewey.
with Barney Fife.
I'm strongly
Barney
convinced
Fife.
most of David Arquette was not given ever lines. They were just like walk into a scene and start improvising.
Yes.
And then
I
and then
agree.
he 100% did.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
you're just a young, doofy cop who's
Yeah.
trying to be taken somewhat seriously while still wanting to be likable.
Yeah.
By the way, you're one of like 3 cops in this entire town.
Yeah.
Like, just deal with it. I don't know.
And you look like you barely graduated high school by their high school standards. Like you're still very much talking to all these people. Like, oh, we're like, oh yeah, we'll hang out after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
isn't he like 25 or something?
25.
25.
And he's like acting like he's friends with all these people,
Who
despite them all being like at minimum
7 years.
6
16,
to 7
17.
years younger
Yeah.
than him.
Oh, to be fair, he's the brother of one of them.
That
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
No,
you think I'm hanging out with my little brother's friends?
No, he's
Ever?
not hanging
Yeah.
out with
There
them.
was
He's
that
hanging out with
7
Sydney and Tatum. He knows Sydney very well because they've been friends forever.
Sure, that
And
one.
the
like a
rest of
child
them, he's
friend.
not their friend. He is a very goofy, trying to act cool cop.
Yeah,
He's only
I'll
ever
agree
close to
with
2
that.
of them,
that's
Yeah.
fair.
which those 2 make sense.
I love
I
Dewey.
mean, there was a 7-year gap between me and my little brother.
Yeah,
Not
there's an
really.
8-year gap. I
It's
don't
not-
hang out with this.
No.
friends. Yeah,
I don't buy it.
he can relate to this more than any of us.
that's true.
Nathan can.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I have a brother who's 6 years older than me.
Jill, let him have the floor.
And Jill,
Yeah,
he's the
is
expert.
your brother friends with your friends?
Uh,
Did he ever just come over to a party that
And,
you're
and take a beer and be like, ah,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah.
he wasn't going to the party to hang out. He was going to the party to hang out with the newscaster.
She's with me.
Yeah.
Nathan, what's the shape of the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fat.
Yeah.
This style of movie should be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's too long.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a pretty good flat assumption that I
That's a
agree
fair-
with.
like whenever it ends at the start of it, and I check the
It's at the
time,
start of it.
like the start of it like cools down, and
Yeah.
I'm like, now look at how long the movie is, and I was immediately like, this movie's gonna be too long.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, very good uncovering there.
Mhm.
Nathan, would you like to start with your score?
Yeah. Let's pong it back and then.
Is no one going to try to top my question?
What
What
What was the question?
Oh, my question was what high schoolers are more believable? Never back
Oh,
down
yeah.
to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we already hashed that out.
Yeah.
These kids are all the same age as Dewey.
Yeah.
They're not in high school.
I think Courtney Cox is actually older, but that actually makes sense.
Well,
though.
I think
Like,
Never Back Down also has the edge because it's a little bit newer too, and like at least you know that the style in which when we were in high school, that's
Yeah.
kind of how they dressed. So
If nothing else, I can just laugh at the fact I'm like, man, we really took this all the way until about 2010 before we really started getting a little critical
yeah,
about letting
yep.
people in their late 20s,
year olds,
yeah, play 16 to 18-year-olds. Like,
It's very weird.
yeah.
And now we have like
Very
Stranger
weird.
Things and you
know.
know movie or shows like
now
that.
child actors actually really get to be children.
Yeah,
now
actually
we're
kinda
like,
good.
finally. Otherwise, we can only be Macaulay Culkin.
Which
And
Rory Culkin was the
Yeah, in Succession.
What?
Got you.
Rory
I don't
Culkin? He was in the 4th screen.
Oh, yes.
Oh, fun. Anyways, so scores. Nick.
I'm gonna go 6.5 on this. Like, I mean, it's not bad, but it's like not really something I'm like super excited about the idea of like wanting to see more of it or wanting to ever really rewatch it.
But Jenny Ortega,
It was-
everybody loves her.
It was
You just skipped
goofy.
to 5.
It was funny at parts. It was also like way too much downtime through the middle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those sort of drags to it really detract from it.
I'm between a 5.5 and a 6. I this type of movie going on for this long. Okay, I can like Saw, you can like that. Doesn't mean that you're not gonna shit on Saw
Yeah.
for its flaws.
Sure.
So here we go.
And the
Jill's
Saw
even
was
openly
good.
saying you could skip 1, maybe 3 movies to go from
I
1 to
watched
5
the
to 6.
first Saw. I started to watch the
Enjoy.
second one at some point. No, I
Yeah.
dropped out. Was that the one with the pit of
Needles and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep,
the-
that. Oh,
I
as
knew
soon as
immediately.
that started, I was like,
It's tapped out.
that's me out.
She was
Yeah.
a heroin addict, the girl that had to.
Yeah.
She was the one, the accomplice that helped him.
Yeah,
into that.
I turned that movie off and I've never watched another one.
Yeah. But for this movie to just keep going and keep doing the exact same thing, like at least Fast and the Furious, like they go to space at some point. Like
They do.
this movie doesn't progress. This
I mean,
series, this
Scream in
franchise.
space,
What are you
that
ta-
would
you
get me
can't-
back in.
Are you saying just about this particular movie or the whole franchise?
The
because you
franchise.
can't talk about space and not like.
Oh, you're gonna
talk about
spoil
all
some
the
stuff?
movies.
Yeah.
Just talk about this movie.
So the reason why I don't like this movie that much is because it is playing on itself way too much. It
Playing
is
with
not
itself.
that
Yep.
funny to me. A couple moments are. You do have those peaks, which is fine, but I don't think that it warrants doing it over and over and over and over and over again. Number 4, 5, 6. and
As a
so on.
franchise. is
As a
what you mean.
franchise.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay. I'm with you.
Because it's the exact same thing. Now I've seen the 4th one, and it is fun.
You haven't seen the other ones.
And I have not seen the other ones. But if you're telling me that they're all
Jill's
the
like, I'm
exact
picking
same
5 and 6.
premise, where it's this guy calls, it's a whodunit the entire time.
Oh, I'm
this
sure there's
movie
gonna
has
be
been done
nods throughout.
6 times.
Yeah.
It's nuts, isn't it?
I mean, how many Fast and Furiouses are there?
Oh, there's 10.
There's like
There's
10,
there's
right?
like 7.
No, there's
Okay.
10.
Technically, there's more because there's spin-offs.
10.
There's
Oh, Hobbs and
Shaw.
Shaw, yeah. But at least
they're
they
gonna outpace Final Fantasies. At
they
this rate.
take the nods
Very
and they
Not if they
crank
can
it
help
to
it.
so unrealistic on the Fast and Furious. At least they keep it somewhat like entertaining for some audiences, which is fine.
Yeah.
For the same movie to do the same thing over and over and over, it's like making Clue 6 times. Do you? Do you make Clue 6 times?
How many times
So where do you land at?
I'm gonna land at a 5.5. I've talked
Yeah, he's
myself
talked
down.
himself
down.
I don't
I was
like.
like, yeah, that's the heat of a 5 score.
I'm actually frustrated at this movie a little bit because it's so cheesy and it's so nacho cheesy. I
Here.
just can't.
Tag me back in. Okay.
Wait, I know. I have to rebuttal that first.
Go for it.
You can
Oh,
skip-
well,
I can
let
skip
me
the score first.
let me
Yeah.
repeat what he said because I am actually going to say the same thing, and I'm actually agreeing with Mason's 5.5 on this one because I agree with Mason. Like, I don't like that it's so in on itself that like the whole movie is just them commenting on the genre. It just gets stale after a while. Like
6 times.
most of the time,
You guys
6
haven't
times.
seen
I'm
them.
not talking
I've
about
seen
the
the fourth
franchise. I am
Yeah,
not.
don't
How can you
understand,
comment
like,
on
I
something
don't
you
understand
haven't
why
seen?
you're giving the score of this movie based on the
fact that
there
a
are
series
multiple
exists
other
of it.
ones. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
wasn't
understand
going to.
that.
I was going to give my score that's based on this movie, not how much I love the whole franchise.
I
Yeah.
am, which is I am not backing him up on that one. That's him.
Yeah.
Oh, how the tables keep turning.
I am only backing him up on this movie. And
Also,
then-
Price, tag me in.
Yeah, tag me in,
Tag me in.
grab you,
Through the table.
no, I'm not rebutting him. That's a Mason opinion.
Yeah.
Whatever, he can have that.
You
But
know
the
what? I want
point,
you guys to watch this.
but the point that he makes is that this movie does just comment on itself a lot, and it just gets stale. I get tired of hearing the movie guy comment about horror movies and like this is the part where this happens. These are the rules of a horror movie while being within a horror movie, like. Come on, having your tongue so far in your cheek, it's coming out the other side, guys. It's not that clever what you're doing. But at the same time, it does have some like fun kills, even though they're not believable in the slightest. There are some good lines that are funny, but the characters, like, I can't take them seriously because they're so old. They do have some funny lines, but just nothing in this movie. Like, the styles, they're just mishmashing together. They're taking the round peg and putting it in the square hole and just beating it repeatedly the whole time. And it doesn't work, but at the same time, I didn't hate my time with it, even though it is too long, like Nathan said. Like, 2 hours almost is way too long for this movie. An hour and a half tops.
I think it would have been really good at an hour and a half. Like it would have gone up like probably a full.
Like trim out some of that middle section and just let the two
Oh,
ends
yeah.
breathe.
I can't remember much from the middle.
Jill, did you want to do a rebuttal first? Sorry.
I don't know. Do you want to tag in Dylan first?
Dylan,
Well, I don't
get
know-
her!
I don't know if he's backing up what we're saying, so you may want to go.
Well, first, I need to say, how can you comment on 6 movies that you haven't seen? You can't say, oh, they just do this over and over again.
4
you don't
movies.
even know that they do it over and over
She
Four
sounds
again.
like
movies.
me
Unless
talking
your
about
count was
this.
incorrect earlier, there's only 4 movies that I haven't seen. I've seen 2 of the 6, and I know that they're identical.
He knows it.
Like,
Okay.
the
What are
fourth
the
one.
two you watched?
All right.
No. The
I'm
fourth
guessing.
one literally has a scene where it's just outside on the patio with the pool behind him. I remember it like it was yesterday. It's Rory Culkin that's in the chair, just like the boyfriend, Drew Barrymore's boyfriend in the very beginning.
Oh,
Yeah, they
It
fold
Tied
is
up.
literally the exact. It is frame
won
by
for
frame
it.
the exact
It
same.
is.
Well, yeah, but this
It's
is
on
multiple
purpose.
roads,
But
so
it's
It's also plot, like, it's in the plot why it's like that. Did you pay attention? They were trying to
Why?
recreate the murders.
They're not recreating the
They
murders.
were.
They are repeating
Oh,
themselves.
that's even better. The only two you've watched are the one where it's the original, and then somebody tried
And then
to
the immediate
recreate
remake of the original.
That's 100% what it was.
All right.
But why is that good, Jill? Like that's
Tell me
Well,
why
that
it's
was
not.
just
Like
funny
four.
because
Yeah,
you're
like,
like,
she
that's
doesn't
the
like
point
four.
of criticism.
Okay, I don't hate for it, but it's not my favorite.
But
of
to
all,
criticize
but-
the whole series, like, okay, to be
To
fair,
criticize
to be
the
fair to
series
Jill,
on the fact that you watched
Yeah.
the two that happen to be like meant to be
Yes.
mirrors of each other.
Mirrors my butt. There's like
Mason hates Jurassic Park for some reason,
I
but
do
the
not
only
hate
other
it.
Jurassic, I know I'm using hyperbole here, is that you hate Jurassic Park, but also the only other one you watched was Jurassic World. And you were like, yeah, it just felt like they kept doing the same thing, and they decided to do it a little bit different, maybe a little bigger and dumber.
That is not true.
It's the same
I've
criticism.
seen Jurassic Park 2 and 3.
There's a lot of weird comparisons being thrown out there right now.
Okay, I still gotta keep my score, so let's get back on track for a
Okay,
second.
I don't know. I'm enjoying this conversation much more.
I
This
do
has got
enjoy it.
long-
I'm loving hearing Jill tear him apart.
Yeah, don't worry, Jill's got more time. She's got a whole score to still do, but let me just throw my
She's
head
gonna
over
rip
it.
everybody apart here in a second.
This is why it's a 10!
Get that button out here.
Yeah. This movie's 7.5 at least. Let's
Oh,
start
wow.
there. So,
Dylan is your superhero.
I thought about it being an
He
8.
loves some nachos.
I thought about it being an 8, but
Shut the fuck up.
there's room for it to be better, and by and far it's the pacing in the middle. But I again, this is my kind of cheese. Like, this is my kind of, like, every little bit of it feels so, and, like, yes, intentional, but also of its time. Again, we're talking about a 96 film, so they were going to cast adults as teenagers anyways. But I truly think, like, to a degree, like, there's a comedic element to them, like, laughing at the idea that they drafted Monica playing the notably most adult person that everybody knows.
She's the most mature one on Friends.
And then to take her and make that character with it, there's just so many good things that come from the Scream series for me. Like, Gail as a character is, like, lovely. The fact that she gets married to David Coxarek is a whole another point. But
But we're talking about this movie.
I know.
Yeah, I got
We keep talking about
I know.
earlier.
Just one
Don't
off
go
thought.
down that
Just,
slippery
we
slope.
hadn't mentioned it. One off thought.
Let
very
Jill
90s
tell
shit.
everybody apart here in
So-
just a moment.
So the cheese behind it, like, it's just right. Like, the dumb little high school, like, making jokes at the water fountain about killing a girl is
That was
like,
great.
yeah, it's the garage scene. It's the stuff, like, the stuff that comes to mind even when I'm rethinking about the movie and having rewatched it recently. I'm like, "Ugh, yeah, there's chugs in the middle, which is why the movie doesn't, like, even at its good, like, the highs for me can't bring it to an 8 because there's so much at the valley bringing it down the hill a little bit. But, you know, 7.5 for me, I think, consecutively says I had a lot of fun with this movie. I really do enjoy my time with it. I think the opening is great. I think it's a great opening.
It's
like,
a top, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we asked top openings, like, last season or
Yeah.
whatever. I was like, this one's up there.
It's not
It's
like...
iconic for a reason.
Yes,
Mhm.
like, when we're talking about openings for a film, this is a great opening. Well above the 7.5. It's like an 8.5 territory opener. Probably maybe even higher. But then, again, the movie does chug along in the middle, and it brings it down. There's some slog here and there. Billy obviously is the killer, but you know what? Again, there's
Who's
just
obviously the rapist. Anyways,
The rapist
And then
Yeah.
Shaggy's just like, I just wanted to be in on it,
Yeah.
everybody.
I'm glad to be here.
If you said I could somehow get 2 more movies with Lillard being still Lillard, just they put on a wig and they make him a
They
different
did.
character.
They made him Shaggy.
Right, and this is a franchise that feels like it could get away with it, and I kind of like it for that. Like, you know, like, the fact that there's enough of that tone that it's just, like, silliness is allowed to exist while also letting the horror exist as well is just like it's a combination you just don't get often enough that gets done well. Now, obviously, the wow factor varies from person to person, but I enjoy it for what it is. So 7.5 for me. I'm here. I would watch 5 and 6.
I forgot to
What
tell.
about 2, 3, and 4?
I don't know about those.
I forgot to say that during the middle of this movie where, they're doing the, like, talking over the sex scene or whatever, where it's like, this is a part where, like, the virgin or whatever does it, whatever. That's a stupid thing. But there's a part where she takes off her top or whatever, and it's her bra, and then she takes off her bra, but it pans behind it with his back showing it, and, like, it doesn't show her boobs. And I mentioned to Kelly, I was like, I bet Dylan brings this part up in the review. And you didn't. So, you know what? Props to you, sir.
Yeah,
I'm trying
you're
not to-
growing.
I'm trying not to be predictable, and no, and also I couldn't grow because Billy was in the way. That's the problem with the movie. 7.5 is firm. It wouldn't be that. Nev Campbell's tits, 8, fair. Like, or Billy's dong, 8.5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually just a knife.
All right, Jill, tear everybody apart,
Go
especially
ahead.
Mason.
Yeah, please.
You
I
did
don't know if
great.
I want to tear apart. Just
Well, not everybody.
don't
though. Hold on.
judge things you haven't seen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
I know. I
That's-
love
that's
that.
such a
I
hot
didn't
take.
want to
They're
watch
too
the second
similar.
and third one, but I might watch it just so I can.
Just
He's gonna watch all the bad ones to
Shut my
validate his
mouth.
point,
Spitefully.
but he won't watch 5 or 6 to not prove the
Yeah.
point.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
I'm gonna piss Jill off in every way possible. I'm gonna watch 2 and 3. I'm gonna forget 5 and 6 ever existed.
I'm just gonna watch Scary Movie and say I watched
So,
it.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 is the most similar to 1. It's just supposed to
Yes.
like up the ante. 3 is where you get outlandish because the sequels of horror movies
Is it
get
like
outlandish.
That's the
Final
one.
Destination?
Yeah, 3's the one I
Yeah.
want.
Is it kind of like Final Destination, where it's like, yeah, the first one's good, it's iconic, but then they have to like keep raising
Cheesing
the
it
bar.
almost, yeah.
Yeah,
Because like by the 5th
That's what
Final Destination,
movies
it's
do.
ridiculous.
Like
Oh,
not
they
just
fight
horror
in
movies.
death.
That's what movies do. Is you have too many and like you have to outdo yourself. So that's
Yeah.
what 3 is commenting on.
Yeah.
2 is just 1 but more, and because it's like the sequel thing,
Right.
and that's them in college. 3 is Hollywood, and Sydney's hardly even in it. 4 is back to Woodsboro, so it's recreation of all the murders. So it's the exact same movie as 1.
Yes.
Just
It does sound
just
similar,
leave that in
yeah.
there.
Yeah, I
Except
know
it's
that.
a more modern age take on like more gore, more like Saw and those kinds of
Mm.
movies.
Mm.
And then 5 is just all the new stuff. And
Yeah.
5 and 6 are like the best of the franchise.
Yeah.
Why did we watch those then?
Because you need to have seen 1 to see 5.
To
Yeah, that's
appreciate.
fair. Because if they're doing all
Well,
these
you need
nods,
to
you're gonna
see
be like,
one
I
to
sure
see
wish I knew
4.
what they were nodding at.
That's not
You need
true.
to see 1 to see
Let me
4.
tell you.
And technically, it would be best if you've seen all of them to see 5 because they are all mentioned. But you mostly just need to see 1.
I really want to critique a franchise that, at its best, says watch 1 and then watch 5 and 6. But
Boy.
I am both a Star Wars fan and a Creed fan, not a Rocky fan particularly, but I do love Creed,
Creed.
and Creed is exactly that.
I would
like,
only say skip to 5 because 2 is not very good.
yeah.
Because it doesn't have like the prestige of 1.
Right.
It's not the first one. And 3, a lot of people don't like because it's out there. But that's why I love it.
Which is why Price will love
I'm
it.
here for it.
Incidentally, he'll be like, this is just
I cut the
Thanksgiving.
gas.
Guys,
Yeah.
I watched the 3rd one the other day. Boy, let me tell you. That's
Yeah.
what he's going to come to us next week with.
I love the Scream franchise. I love all of it together.
It's
I
your
like,
favorite franchise, isn't it? Is that-
Um,
You've said that on record before.
It's definitely my favorite horror franchise.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, specific.
Yeah.
It's also just very sentimental. Like I've watched it forever now,
Mm.
and the new ones are incredibly good. The old ones just they're so cheesy. They're so enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. They're just very easy to like, whether or not they're good or bad for me. But for the first movie, I would probably give it a 7.5.
Hey.
I was very similar to Dylan and basically all your reasoning
Hmm.
about, and I also thought like maybe it's an 8, maybe it's not an 8, maybe it's a 7.5.
Yeah, not enough nudity for an 8. They had Rose McGowan flopping around in a thing, which is the closest we really get to it, and missed opportunity to just
Was
go
she
R.
in American Pie?
She was in Charmed.
She was in Charmed.
I knew she was in Charmed,
Which,
but I thought
for the
for sure-
record, I keep end up watching Charmed in the gym whenever I'm on, like, doing cardio, and I get why there's a generation of bisexual women, because they just really threw Alyssa Milano and
Alyssa
and Rose
Milano
McGowan.
was the star, and oh gosh, the other one too.
you know, speak.
Never heard of it.
Whoa! How come I don't get to spit?
Yeah, why doesn't Jill get
Why
to
don't I
spit?
get to spit?
Good point. You wanna
Let's run that back to see what it was on.
That wasn't a good spin. That's a good
That's a
spin.
good spin, Nathan. You can learn something from that.
Learn. Technique.
You'll
It's green.
see if it's a good spin.
What is it?
Oh, it's Mason again.
Oh, no, this
Oh
is
wait,
me.
no.
No.
Oh,
This is the
okay.
one I didn't
Dylan?
know.
You can bet on anything. Oh,
Is it
that's
Game
mine.
Stonk?
It's not.
Oh.
Oh, please say
That
something
one-
dumb.
This is Money Plane.
Money
Plane? Yeah. Let me double check on the title just real quick.
I mean,
I've seen that.
Money Plane.
It's a B movie.
It's a B movie.
I saw this last year.
It's a B movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Money Plane. You can bet on anything. You want to see? I forget what the catchline of it was. You want to bet on a guy fucking an alligator in an airplane or something like that? Money Plane. Like,
Wasn't and they're all foreign.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're gonna be on a ride. I've never watched this. I've seen clips of it,
Oh,
and then
boy.
like.
Why did
Full disclosure. Full disclosure. I only know this movie exists because there was a John Oliver bit where he starts talking about it in
Yeah.
one of his episodes, and I'm like, that sounds great.
There's a meme. It's literally Money Plane.
Yeah, like
I
literally,
guess.
it's
I think
just
Barstool
like
would
why
do it,
why
yeah.
does anything happen at Money Plane? Yeah, and you know what? That sounded just interesting enough to
Hey,
throw on a wheel.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
good with it.
So amongst maybe a couple other Oscar picks, Money Plane is what we're watching next week on the FMovie Podcast. If you like the content we're doing, let us know in the comments below. What did you think? Is 1 peak? Is 5 or 6 great? Did you actually really like 4?
Would you get yelled at if you liked 4?
Yeah.
Mom, did I talk enough?
Do you think it's fair to base your opinion on a whole franchise existing, but not ever having watched the franchise?
You let us know in the comments
That's
below.
a take.
Jill will let you know.
Yeah. Is it? Jill's both going to be in this episode and also commenting on the episode,
Yeah.
being like, Mason is just wrong. If you were entertained even a smidge, make sure to make subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell.
Hit
So
that
you-
button.
When you know when the next episode drops, because it just, you know
It's
what?
been a while at this point.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
you
I
would
mean,
hate it.
I mean, we ran out of things to upload. You know.
Oh, yeah.
We've had the game talk.
Yeah, well.
And I
you
talked to you
it's-
last week about that.
Oh, you didn't
Look,
post game?
We're in March.
The Oscars are in March for the previous year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
We're
hey,
dropping around the Oscars.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that now.
if you're a fan of
Screwed
Oscar
up for tomorrow,
movies,
but not anymore.
if you're a fan of Oscar movies, for the record, you might want to stay tuned to this season. We're not going to reveal movies on the wheel, but if I had to wager a guess, I would say there's a couple on there. Anyway, guys, that's our show. Make sure to tune in next week for Money Plane. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Should we pick the Oscar movies instead?
No.
Hey, you
No.
guys have
Money
slots on the
Plane.
wheel.
Money Plane.